Hey guys, welcome back to Terror of God New World. In today's video, I just want to have a discussion about which unit I think is probably the best value SSR Plus, and me personally, because I reroll every day on new servers because I find it fun, she is the new one that I am aiming for, and that is going to be Data Mashni. Now, I'll go through my reasonings. Now, I'm not saying the others are bad, I just think she has the best value through the entire game from what I can predict now that I've been using her. Reason being, Karaka, amazing early, gets harder to use at higher deficits because he dies too quick. You've got to support him a lot more to allow him to kill enemies, or he's just a quick die tank that's there for a fear and a couple absorptions. Then we move on to Big Mashni. I just still can't get her decided. Honestly, Evan Kell is really good for damage dealing options while you try and dupe up your other characters. She's an absolute monster, deals so much damage, but once again, she needs something to help her live. Then we go into Evan, who's obviously a beast. Evan's always a great one. The problem becomes getting your team to survive until he uses his ultimate so that he can actually keep them alive. That's his issue, but in general, I still think Evan is an absolutely fantastic unit, and I feel like the Exodia starting reroll start combo you could get to move through progression would be him and Data Mashni. But Data Zahard, I still think the problem with Data Zahard is to do what Data Mashni does and stall for as long as she does, he needs a lot more investment. And then I haven't found him to do massive damage, but I think with higher investment, he's going to do really good damage as well. But he is actually pretty decent, but I just prefer Data Mashni. So let's go through Data Mashni and talk about why I absolutely love this character. And like I said, she is my priority. Now, in the early game, yes, something like Karaka, like for the first 8 chapters, may be better because he can tank, he can cheese, he can do everything. But then you get to the stage where enemies hit so hard that your team just instantly melts. And having a guaranteed 10-second invincibility, it's really about 10 to 13 seconds, depending on how many skills she uses, is absolutely fantastic. And this is really, really important. And this is the whole reason I think she's going to have great value through the entire game. When you look at other games with this similar model, even in AFK Arena, Brutus, who was one of the first characters who has like a passive 8 to 9 second invincibility on his first death, very similar to this ability, still very well used across the board. But the thing about her is once you start getting more investment, she also starts dealing really nice damage, so she becomes a tank that can also deal really nice damage. Now, mine does have one skill up into her passive, which means I was on the wrong ability there, but this is the one where she gets her invincibility. I don't know what I was showing you guys accidentally, but this one here, I've had one dupe, which means when she procs this passive, it also increases her damage. She gets normally a 60% attack buff, but because I have one dupe, it is a 75%. So just keep that in mind with mine. But like I said, she can eventually deal some really nice damage as well. And that's why having her from the start, if you get dupes of her, it's also a good thing because she's going to have value the whole time, whether you got 1 copy, whether you got 2 copies, whether you got 15 copies. So she's always going to be valuable. And like I said, that is why I think she's one of the top priorities to have. My personal preference when I'm re-rolling now. So let's go in and see what she can do. Also, we do have 18 summons currently. So if we can push through a couple more of these trial area stages, we will get 2 more summons and we can do 20 pulls at the end of this one. So let's jump in and take a look what we're looking at. So our enemy team, honestly, the deficit's getting a bit heavy here. We're at a pretty sizable deficit. I don't know if we're going to be able to clear these. But essentially, it doesn't matter what element the enemies are. You can see she's weak to it. She is still going to have the benefit of being able to tank for that 10 to 13 seconds. Now, if the enemies are red, she's going to do it for longer because it's going to take her longer to drop below 40%, which is where she activates her 10-second like immortality type buff. So let's take a look. I normally use her with Evan Kell, and then I normally use the purple core. I don't have the complete. I mean, my light core's okay, but I just prefer the purple. I always say light and dark, but you get what I'm saying, purple and yellow. So let's go in here. As you can see, I've got her, because the enemy team is heavily green, I'm not worried about her dealing damage. I'm just worried about her invincibility. So that's the reason I've got her on a 107 slot as opposed to one of my 121s. I'm going to try and get a little bit extra damage out of my Rachel and have my Evan Kell do the bulk of the work. Also, by having Evan Kell as the highest leveled up character, it means that she's going to be getting the energy from the anima chick, which is going to help her get to her ult faster. So let's see how this works. Ideally, we group the enemy team up. They all attack Data Machiny, which allows Evan Kell to ult, and we'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work, I'll keep retrying and come back and show you a replay, because obviously this stuff, especially at a decent deficit, does take a fair few retries. As you can see, she's insta-procs that invincibility, which doesn't matter because she's doing the job she needs to do. She's got a few seconds left on it, but our Evan Kell was managed to get towards her ultimate in that time of invincibility that we did allow ourselves, but it looks like our deficit may be a little bit too big for Evan Kell to get the job done, although she didn't proc her attack buff on herself before she went for her first ultimate. So maybe if we get the RNG for her to proc that, she would kill all those enemies in one hit. Let's go ahead and try it one more time, and then I'll do it off camera and come back. But once again, we are at a decent, we're over a 2x deficit, so it is going to be a little bit tricky, this one, as we push through. But as you can see, Data Machiny doing the work, taking all the hits. Evan Kell, as you can see, she has not procced her passive. She hasn't dropped low yet, so I might actually have to change it up to get my Evan Kell to drop a little bit lower. Actually, she might proc here and then get an ult. Please get an ult. Ooh, okay, we'll be back in a sec. Okay, we finally got there. So I had to use the Endorsey trick, which took a bunch of retries to get it to work, but we finally got there. But you'll see when we look at the replay, Endorsey's just there to group the enemy team up. Then the Data Mash comes in, takes all the aggro, allows my Kell to basically get up her energy, and then she nukes the entire enemy team. Now, if you don't have a Kell, this would work great with a duped up hats or something like that. Unfortunately, on this account, this is my test server account where I changed my wish list to get every hero along the way because I wanted to test them all. And then obviously I don't have one invested hero, so I'm really relying on my SSR pluses, which I'd really much rather have a duped up SSR, but it is what it is. So let's jump into the replay and show you guys the way this one went. And then I'll show you a couple just screenshots of some damage capabilities of her against some red enemies to show you the kind of damage she can deal when there's red enemies as well, because she can really match up to Kell's damage if we're fighting red enemies. So as you can see, she does get an ult off as well, gets a decent little bit of damage, and then she goes ahead and dies, but it's enough to let Kell get there, get her ult off, and then just delete the rest of the team. And that was the purpose. The whole purpose is that if I didn't have her there, anyone else getting targeted would just get absolutely clapped. So like I said, I want to quickly just jump over here and show you guys some other replays that I had. So this one, the interesting thing about this one, let's zoom in, is that you can see she's just above Kell's damage. Kell got a full ult off in this as well, but she's only level 107. I was just using her as a tank, but because in this enemy we did have those red units that we could deal some nice damage against, she can actually deal solid damage. And keeping in mind, there's still 3 green enemies in this one for Kell to go ahead and slap, so that wasn't too bad. And then we jump over into this one as well, and as you can see, this is her at 121, and she can absolutely melt on the damage front. Now, we did have Kell getting 1 ult off, but then she did die after 1 ult, and it was a bit of a longer fight in this one, so she did have longer to deal the damage, but you can tell we got 3 red units, meaning she is going to excel and just do a lot more damage through that. So that's just an idea of the damage we can deal. But let's just jump back over here. Honestly, our deficit's getting a bit steep, and that one took me way too many retries to get, so I don't know if we'll push the next stage for a 20 pull. We might just do a 10 pull. What do we got? 911, dude. Oh, I don't like this at all. All right. Once again, we've got the units that hang back, so I'm kind of tentative on this. I feel like we might have to do the Endorsey trick again and see how it goes. The other problem is that Yuri with her jumping is so damn frustrating, and that's why it took me so many retries, because it just took me to getting the Yuri not to dodge my Kell's ult with her jump. So yeah, we got no chance at this unless we get that unless we get the Endorsey trick to work. So we'll do one more try, and then I'll just come back once we get the Endorsey trick to work, whether we clear it or not, because like I said, this deficit, we do need things to line up perfectly, and it takes a ton of retries. All right, I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so it's back to the drawing board. Unfortunately, on this one, the trick isn't working because the Yuri's too fast. So even when I do group up the enemy team, I did this 3 times of different formations to test it, but unfortunately the Yuri still runs away. So we're just not fast enough, and that's going to wreck my cheese strategies. So, I mean, we'll do 1 run at normal strat, but with those enemies that hang back, it is going to be a bit tough for us to do it at this deficit. but let's just go in and quickly give it a whirl. So we'll drop in Dorsey. I feel like for this, maybe we do something like that, or we could do something like this so that Kel just at least takes the heat off of Couple, and then we can put you in there and see how that goes. The problem is going to be that I'm pretty sure Hats is going to go and attack my back row, which is going to suck. I'm not going to lie, that is really going to suck if that's what happens. Let's see. Yeah, he goes straight to my back row, and then that's just GG's. Getting the Hats clap. Yeah. But hopefully you guys can see that that is just why I think she's like she is still alive. Like the immunity is great. And in some of these battles, you may say, oh yeah, but it was all about the Kel. Just keep in mind, Kel is going to fall off as we get further in the game when you get more dupes into your SSRs. Unfortunately, I don't have any dupes into any of my SSRs. As you can tell, Yuri is the only one that's decently duped. Everyone else has got none. Also, we were fighting against wind units, which is going to much better benefit the Kel in this instance. But honestly, the data mash, once again, my number one priority if I was re-rolling now, just off of what I know and the way the game is sort of leaning towards once we get into those higher deficits, and just that immunity for 10 to 13 seconds is just huge in my opinion. Plus the damage that she can scale, especially when she's not up against green units, is fantastic. So that is going to be it. Unfortunately, we didn't get to 20 pulls because we couldn't clear that stage. But you know, I spent probably over an hour now retrying those stages trying to get it. So let's just go ahead and do our 10 pull. I'll come back and get those 2 summons another time. Unfortunately, we need 2 pulls, not 1. Otherwise, I would have just finished my dailies for today. But let's jump in, see if we can get something nice from this one. We've had pretty horrid rates. I did 80 pulls to get to my 200 pity. Ooh, we're getting 1 at least. Okay. I did 80 pulls to get to my 200 pity. 70 of them. In the first 70, I got no SSRs. Then I got a double on the 80th. And then the 10 after that, I got nothing. So we haven't had the greatest rates so far. But hey, at least we're getting 1 in this one. That's good enough for me. Won't be an SSR plus, but hey, let's just see what it is anyway. What do we got? Okay, sweet. Hats dupe. Not too bad. I'm behind the 8 ball with him on this account, so I need those dupes as much as I can. And once again, I am saving gems to see what happens with the new units when they come. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it. Data Mash, just a really solid unit all around. Like I said, not discrediting the other ones. There are other great units in the game, but she's just my priority at the moment. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.